Hi, I'm Christine from SBYC1 Yoga channel. I'm I've been a yoga teacher for 13 years and I have been practicing for over 30 years. I've been practicing meditation for longer than that. Yes, I started very young, but um, you know, I've learned a lot in the last 13 years, definitely. The last 20 years. So, um, what compelled me to want to talk to you today is the whole idea behind yoga and what that means. I was talking to a friend of mine, a yogini, and as I reflect back, as I talk to other friends, other yoginis and yogis, um, what occurs to me is that when we talk about yoga, yoga, and we're only talking about asana, really. Yoga means union, which to me, and if you read, some of the books, it is union with the divine or union with a greater sense of self. Um, and and really, for the longest time, there was this idea that union meant union with body and mind. So my body works, my mind, and my mind doesn't overwhelm my body, and my body is talking to my mind, and and maybe that's making light of the situation, but really it's the body mind is intact. It's already been there, so it's already there. So you just have to awaken to the body mind and awaken to the sensations that are there, that are about speaking to you. The body has an intelligence, so that's what yoga asana is really good for. Is that the body has an intelligence, and it'll talk to you. It'll tell you what it needs. The mind tends to overwhelm everything, and the mind equals in Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. The second Yoga Sutra. The mind does overwhelm most of our other senses, and the fourth dimension senses, the senses that are really kind of undercover right now. Um, so yoga to me means getting in touch with. It's not even getting in touch with. It's it's developing the vessel, the container, in order to be able to live the life that is in direct union with the divine. Now, I am not a saint, and I am not a Brahman, and I'm not any of those things that kind of in the way of legacy. I'm not an enlightened being by birth. So I don't fool myself into thinking that I can, walk the path without, mistakes, or without some kind of unclearness. My clarity is really comes from um, listening, and listening not only to my body from asana, but listening to just listening. Oh, there's something about the transformative quality from asana, meditation, and awareness, self-awareness, which is one of the aspects that we're trying to achieve while we're doing yoga, asana, or meditation, or bhakti yoga, is to become self-aware and to evolve that way. And it's not to correct things. A lot of people think that becoming self-aware, or becoming self-observational, means that all of a sudden you can change things and change who you are, and not be the asshole, or not be the bitch, or whatever anybody wants to call you, or you want to call yourself. Um, Really, it's not about that. It's about knowing that when you walk your path, when it's time to be that asshole or that bitch, and and be all right with it. but it's about clearing up all the stuff that is reactive. That's one of the parts of it. And how asana works and how asana can work is very simply that it puts you, if you have a good teacher, these days, I don't know how many good teachers are out there anymore, but if you have a good teacher, you will come upon, you will have things put in front of you that will make you feel uncomfortable. And the teacher has to not try to remedy that and fix that for you. And sometimes, of course, a teacher will and can, and that's cool and everything. But sometimes it's good, and that's why I like Ashtanga yoga. It's when you do your own practice, you have to come up against things. When you, I mean, there's a saying somewhere, and I don't know exactly, I'm paraphrasing, that the saying is that when good things happen, you don't learn. When bad things happen, you constantly learn. And so I'm all about learning, and I'm all about learning how to deepen. And I don't go out of my way to put myself into bad situations at all. I mean, I think your life, as you live it, as you are born and are raised by, crazy kooky people, and you come, in your adult life, you have to come to terms with these things. I think that's enough, to put in your face. You don't go out of your way. But during asana practice, definitely things are going to come up. Definitely you're going to find that that you cry for absolutely no reason at all in Supta Karmasana, which is what I did. And you know whether I know what those tears were about is another thing. The fact is that asana practice is about purging. It's about wringing you out. You wring your organs. It was all about that whole thing around the inner organs and wringing the inner organs and making them healthy. And it's the same thing with emotions, and it's the same thing with everything else, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's wringing you out. And if you don't allow it to wring you out, if you're always looking for the light, if you're always looking for the perfect posture, and you're always and you're deluded into thinking you have the perfect posture. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean. That um, that you'll never put yourself up against whatever it is, and the deepening won't happen. Of course, deepening can happen spontaneously, and that's what I've been told. For me, the work was constant, and I'm happy for it, glad for it, and appreciative of it. Um, and and for some people, the somehow the work doesn't happen because the ego gets involved, and that it's hard to tell when the ego's involved. It's hard to tell when you're doing yoga for your own gain, when you're doing yoga to be accepted, when you're doing yoga to be loved, when you're doing yoga because it's the only thing you know and everybody listens to you and thinks you're the greatest person on earth. Those are about you. And slowly, a teacher needs to do the teaching, to pass on the teaching with an empty shell, with an empty vessel, empty container. And 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 when you are in union with the divine, you become that empty container, because you're not doing it for your own self. You're doing it for yoga's sake. You're doing it for the sake of yoga. You're doing it for the sake of the divine. You're doing it to allow for whatever, sure, whatever you learn. Obviously that how you teach is going to be shaped and molded by what you've learned and your experience. But So what I'm trying to say is that experience a lot. Go and experience, and let teachers teach you. Let yourself teach you. Let the practice teach you. And when we talk about yoga, we're talking about that union. So asana is a teacher. Asana is a practice, a technique. As much as meditation is, as much as therapy is, as much as looking at yourself and really being honest with yourself. I mean, present moment stuff, right? Present moment stuff is about seeing things as they truly are in that very moment, and not projecting into the future, and not thinking about the past. The past, the future, it's present moment. And when you you work with that, that's when union comes. And that's what I wanted to talk about for yoga. So thank you for listening, and I hope that that you got something out of this talk, and I'd love to come back and talk to you again. So if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to talk about, please um, send me email or comment, and and be kind with your comments, and always be with grace. Always go with grace. So namaste, Om Shanti.